Christ in 2020 wants His bride, the church, to see through the veil with 2020 vision. He wants to remove long-standing scales and veils from blind and closed eyes. Most of all, don't miss the 9 crucial issues pointed out beginning at 70 seconds. Beauty and veiling is likely one of our world's most confused subjects, and with deep implications. Our great God, who hates lies and oppression, and who is not mocked, in 2020, is allowing our world to be shaken, because He wants people to see with 2020 vision, rather than having their minds locked and eyes closed, as in this unique image He sent at Valentine's 2019. He in 2020 is shaking our world, because too many religious people, just like non-religious people, have their eyes closed and lack 2020 vision, and therewith have a big mouth to defend the traditions of men. Jesus speaking to such ones said, "And He said unto them, Full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition." Mark 7:9. Now, a vital question, and with much reason to ask, and with crucial implications. In 1 Corinthians 11:1-16, was Paul encouraging feminine glory? Or oppositely advocating veiling, the very obstruction and crushing of feminine glory? To discover that answer, with open eyes desiring 2020 vision on the subject, please consider the crucial 9 following aspects. Firstly, consider Paul without dispute encouraged longer hair for women and declared it a glorious covering. Secondly, consider Paul in his appropriate covering teaching was very concerned about proper hair covering, not only emphasizing the shame of women lacking long hair, but also the shame of men having long hair. Thirdly, consider Paul taught lacking the covering he meant was shameful, like being shorn, while head and hair veiling significantly makes women look like they were shorn, which shame he emphatically rebuked. Fourthly, consider Paul speaking of the covering women need used a Greek word simply meaning covering, which it must be admitted could pertain to hair or a veil, but in his concluding words saying her long hair is given for a covering, used a Greek word that certainly means a cloth veil. Thus, he actually concluded saying, if a woman has long hair it is a glory to her and given for a veil, which statement makes basically no sense, and especially not, if he was advocating a veil. Fifthly, consider, according to the Greek, Paul actually wrapped up his message saying, if a woman has long hair it is a glory to her, and given instead of a veil. Note, the Greek word underlying for, as in given for a covering, is translated as instead of hundreds of times, in the Greek Bible. Also, consider that the word for, as in the phrase, I will use a fork for a spoon, also denotes instead of. And further, be aware that this letter of Paul was to the people of Corinth, a people of Greece, a place where oppressive heathen head and face veiling was already being done in Paul's time. Sixthly, consider the Greek word for, as in for a veil, not only means instead of, but opposition. The Greek word underlying for is anti, like in Antichrist. Thus, this text could readily imply her long hair is given instead of, and in opposition to a veil. Seventhly, consider Paul in his concern about appropriate covering, actually taught woman was made for man, and the glory of man, and that she thus should have power, according to the Greek meaning freedom and liberty on her head, because of the angels, likely meaning like the example of the angels in glory. And eighthly, consider that Paul in his second letter to the same people, also spoke negatively about veiling, and spoke of Christ taking away the veil, and of all coming before God with an open face. And ninthly, and lastly, it certainly should also be considered how Paul was very emphatic in his teaching about appropriate hair and the covering of she whom he said was made for and the glory of man, yes, saying, judge in yourselves, and doth not nature teach you? And therewith, regarding customs hostile to his emphasis about woman and her longer hair, which he counted a glory given instead of a veil, Paul firmly declared, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. The combined message of the above 9 issues, with amazing clarity, show that Paul was encouraging woman's glory, rather than advocating crushing it, which certainly has vast implications regarding beauty, and romance, and other issues about sexuality. And yes, God has recently confirmed these issues, with an abundance of miracles, as well as biblical research. Our God wants the serpent's lies and oppression to be exposed, and the man of sin, the devil, to be revealed before Christ's return. He wants eyes opened, and 2020 vision to be found and restored, on this, and many subjects before the end. For more, see www.veilorglory.com, and www.churchwakeup.com. And please share this with others that you think might need the message, and thanks for watching. As God is shaking our world in 2020, and wants to give 2020 vision, Whom would Jesus rebuke in our day, saying, Full well ye reject the commandment of God, that ye may keep your own tradition.